I stood in front of my bathroom mirror at 6 in the morning, practicing my smile, the kind of smile that says I'm a professional educator and not, I have $17 in my checking account, and my car payment is 3 weeks late. Before we get into this, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this story, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. I post stories like this one every week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. And if you end up enjoying this, really helps get these stories to people who need to hear them. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds. Now, let me take you back to how a burned-out public school teacher ended up in the middle of something that still keeps me up at night. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 26 years old, and I'd been teaching high school English for 4 years when this happened. 4 years of overcrowded classrooms, outdated textbooks held together with packing tape, and watching brilliant kids slip through the cracks because I had 37 students per class and maybe 45 minutes to reach them all. I'd racked up $87,000 in student loan debt getting my teaching credential. My salary was $42,000 a year before taxes. You do the math. I was living in a 400 square foot studio in Sacramento, where the shower only worked if you jiggled the handle just right, and my upstairs neighbor apparently trained elephants for a living. Every morning, I'd brew the cheapest coffee that wouldn't actually kill me and tell myself I was making a difference. Some days, I even believed it. You're actually considering this? Maya dropped her bag on the table at our usual coffee shop. We'd been meeting every Thursday after work since our student teaching days. She was the only person who really understood what the job took out of you. It's $4,000 a week, Maya. That's more than I make in a month. For private tutoring? Her eyes narrowed. What's the catch? I pulled up the email on my phone. The job posting had appeared on a local teaching forum and vanished within 3 hours. One student, 14 years old, gifted. Parents want intensive one-on-one instruction 5 days a week. Sarah? Maya leaned forward. Rich people don't pay double the going rate for nothing. What aren't they telling you? My phone buzzed with another message from Linda Hartwell. They wanted to meet tomorrow. Coffee shop of my choosing. They'd bring the contract. I should have listened to Maya. The Hartwells arrived exactly on time. Robert was tall, mid-40s, with the kind of watch that cost more than my yearly salary. Linda was petite, perfectly styled, gripping her purse like it might escape. They sat across from me in a corner booth, and I noticed immediately that Robert positioned himself where he could see both entrances. You come highly recommended, Robert said, sliding a folder across the table. I hadn't asked who recommended me. Linda's hands trembled slightly as she poured sugar into her coffee. 1 packet, 2, 3, 4. She didn't drink it. Our daughter is exceptional, Linda said. She reads at a college level, teaching herself calculus, but she needs structure. Individual attention. The public school system can't provide what she needs. Robert's voice was firm, final. I skimmed the contract. The salary made my heart race. But there was a clause on page 3 highlighted in yellow. Tutor agrees not to ask about or discuss the student's personal history, medical background, or family circumstances outside of academic performance. This is unusual, I said carefully. We value privacy. Robert met my eyes. Our family has been through some difficulties. We prefer to keep our past private. I understand privacy, but if I'm going to teach your daughter effectively, I need to understand. You need to understand literature, mathematics, history, science. Linda's voice cracked slightly. That's all. Please, we just want normal. Can you give us normal? Something in her desperation made me sign. The Hartwell house was in an exclusive gated community 20 minutes outside Sacramento. The guard at the entrance checked my license 3 times before letting me through. The house itself was beautiful, sprawling single-story cream-colored stone, perfectly manicured lawn. But as I pulled into the circular driveway, I noticed something odd. Every curtain was drawn, every single one. Linda met me at the door before I could knock. You're right on time. Olivia appreciates punctuality. The interior was immaculate, everything cream and beige and carefully neutral, like a model home staging. Abstract art that meant nothing, furniture that looked expensive but unused. The whole place smelled like industrial-strength cleaning products and nothing else. No coffee brewing, no dinner cooking, no life. A few house rules, Linda said, walking me through the foyer. Her heels clicked against marble tile. Please don't open any windows or curtains. Olivia is sensitive to direct sunlight. Don't take any photos. Don't mention our address to anyone, and she paused at a heavy wooden door. Don't ask her about school. She doesn't attend anymore. Does she have friends who visit? Linda's expression tightened. We believe in protecting our daughter from unnecessary distractions. She opened the door. The room was large, well lit by soft lamps, lined with bookshelves. And in the corner, sitting at a desk, was a girl who looked like she'd never seen sunlight. Not porcelain doll pale. Vitamin D deficiency pale. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore jeans and a long-sleeved shirt despite the warm September weather. When she looked up at me, her blue eyes were old. Too old for 14. Olivia, this is Miss Mitchell, Linda said, her voice artificially bright. Your new teacher. Olivia stood and extended her hand. Hello. Her handshake was ice cold. The grip was limp, mechanical, like she'd been taught the motions but not the meaning. I noticed her fingernails were bitten to the quick. I'm excited to work with you, I said, keeping my voice gentle. Your parents tell me you're quite the reader. I like books. She glanced at Linda as if checking whether this answer was acceptable. Linda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'll bring you both some water. Sarah, if you need anything, just call. The door closed behind her. Not loudly, but I heard it. The soft click of the lock. My stomach tightened. Olivia returned to her desk. I pulled up a chair, maintaining respectful distance. So, what are you reading right now? Jane Eyre. Charlotte Bronte. Excellent choice. What do you think of Jane so far? Olivia's fingers traced the edge of her book. I think she understands what it's like to be trapped. The words hung in the air between us. Trapped at Lowood? I asked carefully. Trapped everywhere. Olivia looked at me directly for the first time, even at Thornfield, especially at Thornfield, because she cared about Rochester, which made leaving harder. Does that make sense? It makes perfect sense. For 3 hours, we talked about literature, mathematics, history. Olivia was brilliant, sharp, insightful, hungry for knowledge. But every time a car drove past outside, she tensed. Every time footsteps approached the hallway, she stopped mid-sentence. And she'd never once looked at the windows, even though they were covered. At 4 o'clock, Linda appeared. Time's up for today. I gathered my materials. Same time tomorrow? Yes. Linda's smile was strained. Thank you, Sarah. You've been wonderful. As I walked to my car, I glanced back at the house. The curtain in Olivia's room twitched, just slightly. She was watching me leave. 3 days into the routine, everything shattered. We were discussing The Great Gatsby. Olivia had finished it in one night, when a delivery truck backfired on the street outside. The sound was sharp, sudden. Olivia hit the floor, not ducked, not flinched. She dropped like someone had cut her strings, hands over her head, entire body curled into a protective ball. Her breathing came in rapid, shallow gasps. Please don't, please don't, please don't. Olivia. I knelt beside her, not touching. You're safe. It was just a truck. You're safe. She was shaking violently. The door burst open. Linda rushed in, saw Olivia on the floor, and her face went white. You don't touch her. You don't know what she's been through. I'm trying to help. Get out. Linda dropped to the floor, gathering Olivia into her arms. Just get out. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. Through the partially open door, I heard Linda's whispered words. It's okay, baby. You're home. He can't get you here. I promise. I promise. Robert appeared, his expression grim. Give us 10 minutes. When I returned, Olivia was sitting at her desk again. Her eyes were distant, unfocused. A glass of water sat beside her. And I recognized the telltale drowsiness of medication kicking in. I'm sorry, she whispered. You have nothing to be sorry for. But she wasn't looking at me anymore. She was looking through me, to somewhere far away. That night, I violated my contract. I sat on my apartment floor, laptop open, and typed, Olivia Hartwell missing kidnapping Sacramento. Nothing. I tried variations. Different years. Different terms. Nothing. But I couldn't shake the image of those scars I'd glimpsed when her sleeve rode up during the panic attack. Thin white lines around her wrists. Not the jagged marks of self-harm, restraint marks. Over the next few weeks, I watched Olivia carefully. She was brilliant but broken, engaged but empty. She devoured books like they were oxygen, worked through calculus problems with fierce concentration, Wrote essays that made my chest ache, but she was performing, going through motions, living without being alive. Do you ever want to go outside? I asked one afternoon. We'd been reading Emily Dickinson, who'd famously lived as a recluse. Olivia's pen stopped moving. What do you mean? Just outside, to a park, to see other kids your age. I have everything I need here. Do you? She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Not hope, something harder. Determination. My parents love me very much, she said carefully. They know what's best. But her hand moved across the page of her notebook, and I saw what she'd written in tiny letters at the bottom. Help me. Quick pause. If you're hooked on this story and want to see how this turns out, hit that like button right now. It takes half a second and helps more than you know. Okay, back to what happened next. I found out the truth by accident. I'd left my bag in Olivia's room, realized it as I reached my car. Linda's voice came from the kitchen. She was on the phone crying. I slipped back inside through the side entrance she'd left unlocked, moving quietly through the house. Robert's office door was ajar. I should have walked past. I didn't. The entire wall was covered in newspaper clippings. 147 articles, I'd count them later, all facing inward. Arranged chronologically, connected by red string like some obsessive conspiracy theory. My heart hammered as I stepped closer. The headlines screamed at me. 11-year-old girl vanished from Portland Park. Emily Vaughn case. No leads after 3 months. Miracle recovery. Missing girl found on Oregon highway. The photograph was grainy, distant, taken by a news helicopter. A small figure wrapped in an emergency blanket being helped into an ambulance. Blonde hair, thin frame. Olivia, Emily. You saw. I spun around. Robert stood in the doorway, expression unreadable. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. He stepped into the office, closed the door behind him. You've been curious since day one, asking questions, watching too closely. My mouth went dry. Is Emily okay? Robert moved to his desk, poured amber liquid from a crystal decanter into 2 glasses. Pushed one toward me. I didn't touch it. She was 11 years old, he said quietly, playing at a park in Portland while Linda was 30 feet away at the picnic tables. 1 minute, she was on the swings. The next, she was gone. I felt sick. 11 months. 334 days. Do you know what can happen to a child in 11 months? His voice remained steady, but his hands shook. The man who took her was named David Cross. They found Emily walking on Highway 26, 40 miles from Portland. Hypothermic, malnourished, traumatized beyond anything I can describe to you. Did they catch him? No. The word was flat, final. Cross vanished. They had DNA evidence, fingerprints, witness descriptions. None of it mattered. He disappeared like smoke. I sank into the chair uninvited. So you moved. Changed your names? We did everything right. Linda's voice came from the doorway. I hadn't heard her approach. Her eyes were red-rimmed. New city, new identities, unlisted address. We thought we were safe. Robert opened his desk drawer and pulled out a manila folder. And then, 6 months ago, these started arriving. He spread letters across the desk. 8 of them. Typed on plain white paper, Times New Roman font, 12-point. Postmarked from different cities, Sacramento, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. I picked up the first one with trembling hands. Dear Emily, I think about you every day. I hope you're being good. Remember what I taught you about staying quiet? Those were important lessons. You were always my best student. I'm so proud of how much you've grown. My stomach turned. The police can't help, Linda said. Voice hollow. There are no explicit threats. Just a man telling our daughter how proud he is, how he thinks about her, how he misses their time together. But he knows where you are. I looked up at them. These letters? The most recent one arrived 3 weeks ago. Robert's jaw clenched. He handed me another letter. Emily, I love your new name. Olivia suits you. I saw you through your window last Tuesday. Your hair is so much longer now. You're becoming such a beautiful young woman. The paper crumpled in my grip. We hired you, Linda said, Because I was having panic attacks every time I tried to teach her. Because I couldn't stop seeing him in every shadow. Because I was becoming as much a prisoner as she was. I understood then. The locked doors, the drawn curtains, the isolation. They weren't just protecting Olivia from David Cross. They were drowning in their own fear. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry this happened to your family. But Olivia, Emily, she's 14 years old now. She hasn't been outside in how long?" "3 years," Linda whispered. 3 years. I stood up. "You're so terrified of him taking her life, you're not letting her have one." Robert's expression hardened. "You don't understand what we've been through." "You're right, I don't. But I understand what she's going through. I see it every day. She's brilliant and kind and so desperately lonely. She's teaching herself marine biology because she dreams about oceans she's never going to see. She writes essays about freedom that break my heart, and you've made her a prisoner in her own home." "We're keeping her safe," Linda said, but her voice cracked. "No, you're keeping her alive. There's a difference." I left that day with more questions than answers, but I also left with something else, understanding, and a terrible growing certainty that this couldn't continue. 2 months passed. I followed every rule. No windows, no photos, no discussion of the outside world. I watched Olivia, Emily, fade a little more each day. Watched her brilliant mind consume itself in the vacuum of her isolation. Then she asked me to help her. "I'm applying to an online high school program," she said one afternoon, sliding a brochure across her desk. "It's prestigious. Classes are conducted via video conference, students from all over the world." "Olivia, Emily." She looked at me steadily. "My name is Emily, and I'm tired of hiding from it. Your parents will never approve. I'm not asking them." Her voice was quiet but firm. "I'm asking you. I need a teacher recommendation. You're the only person who sees me as more than a victim." The application required her legal name, birth date, academic history, everything the Hartwells had tried to bury. "This could expose your location," I said carefully. "I know." She met my eyes. "But if I don't start living soon, there won't be anything left to protect." I wrote the recommendation. Emily crafted her application video in 13 takes. I watched her record it on her contraband phone, an old iPhone 6 she'd hidden inside a hollowed-out copy of Jane Eyre, bought with 3 years of saved birthday money, accessing the neighbor's Wi-Fi through her window. In the video, she talked about marine biology, about wanting to study ocean conservation, about believing in second chances. She smiled. It was the first time I'd seen her truly happy. 2 weeks later, she was accepted. 1 week after that, a new letter arrived. I was there when Linda opened it, when her face went white, when the paper fluttered from her shaking hands. I saw her on the computer. "Tell Emily she looked beautiful. Her hair is longer now. I can't wait until we're together again." The room tilted. Robert grabbed my arm, his grip bruising. "What did you do?" The application, I didn't think. You exposed her." His voice was raw. "We trusted you. She deserves a life." "She's alive," Linda was crying now. "That's what matters. She's alive. And you just painted a target on her back." I was trying to help. "Get out." Robert's voice was ice. "You're fired. If anything happens to our daughter, I'll make sure everyone knows it was your fault." Emily appeared in the hallway, face pale. "What's going on?" "Nothing, sweetheart." Linda's voice was artificially calm. "Go to your room." "But now, Emily." I watched her retreat, watched her glance back at me, confusion and fear warring in her expression. Then I heard it. The deadbolt, sliding into place from the outside. "You just locked your daughter in her room," I said quietly. "You've become her kidnapper." Linda's hand cracked across my face. I left. For 2 days I tried to forget. Told myself it wasn't my responsibility, that I'd done what I could. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "He's here." I saw him in the backyard. "Parents don't believe me. They think I'm paranoid like them now. Please help." "Emily." I called the police. Explained about David Cross, the letters, Emily's text. "Ma'am, we can't dispatch officers based on a teenager's text message from an unknown number. Has she called 911? "Her parents have her locked in her room." "That's a family matter. If she's in immediate danger, she needs to call us directly. I drove to the Hartwell house. 9:47 p.m. Every light was on. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles ached. This was insane. Emily was probably fine. Her parents were probably overreacting to her overreacting, a paranoia feedback loop that had nothing to do with real danger. But I couldn't shake the image of that little girl on the highway. 11 months of horror, and now 3 years of a different kind of prison. I used the garage code Emily had texted me. The door rolled up with a mechanical hum that seemed deafening in the quiet neighborhood. The house was silent. Too silent. I slipped through the laundry room into the kitchen. Everything looked normal. Clean counters, fresh flowers, a half-drunk cup of coffee on the table. Then I saw Linda. She was slumped over the kitchen table, head resting on her folded arms. For one terrible second, I thought she was dead. Then I saw her back rise and fall, breathing, deep, rhythmic breathing. Drugged, not dead. My phone shook in my hand as I dialed 911 again. I'm at 4782 Ashford Drive in Riverside Estates. I need police and ambulance immediately. There's an intruder. A muffled sound from upstairs. A male voice, not Robert's. Stay on the line, ma'am. Officers are 3 minutes away. I couldn't wait 3 minutes. I moved through the house like I was underwater, every step deliberate. Found Robert in his home office, alive but restrained. Someone had zip-tied his hands behind the chair, duct tape over his mouth. His eyes went wide when he saw me. He tried to speak through the tape, jerking his head violently toward the ceiling. Upstairs, Olivia's room. The deadbolt was open, door ajar. I grabbed a kitchen knife from the block on the counter, gripped it in my sweating palm, and wondered when the hell my life had become a horror movie. The stairs didn't creak. I'd memorized which ones did. 3rd from the bottom, 7th from the top. I stepped carefully, breath coming in shallow gasps, the knife blade catching hallway light. The voice grew louder as I climbed. Male. Calm. Almost gentle. Remember this day, Emily? The aquarium. You loved the jellyfish exhibit, said they looked like underwater ghosts. I reached the landing. Olivia's door stood open. He sat on her bed. David Cross looked nothing like the monster I'd imagined. Mid-40s, average height, thinning brown hair. He could have been anyone's father, anyone's neighbor. The kind of man you'd hold a door for at the grocery store without a second thought. Emily sat at her desk, frozen. Her face was blank, eyes distant, dissociating. Her mind had gone somewhere her body couldn't follow. Cross was showing her photographs, holding them up one by one, narrating like this was a family slideshow. And this one, remember the park? You were so brave on the high swings. I stepped into the doorway. Get away from her. He turned, looked at me without surprise, without fear. You're the teacher, Sarah, right? Emily speaks very highly of you. My skin crawled at the way he said her name. Familiar, possessive. Police are on their way. It's over. Over? He smiled, and it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. Genuine warmth, like he actually believed what he was doing was okay. I'm just visiting, catching up with an old friend. He stood and I saw the gun, small, black, held loosely in his right hand like it was an afterthought. You've been good for her, he continued conversationally. Her reading comprehension has improved significantly. I've been watching the lessons. You have excellent teaching instincts. My stomach churned. You've been watching. Of course. I'm still her teacher too, in a way. I taught her important lessons. About trust. About how the world really works. About what happens when little girls don't listen. You taught me how to be afraid, Emily whispered. Cross turned to her, expression softening. No, Emily. I taught you how to be strong. Everything you are is because of me. Something shifted in Emily's face. The blankness cracked. Everything I am, she said quietly, is in spite of you. His smile faded. I took advantage of the moment, lunged forward with the knife. Threw it hard, missed. The blade clattered against the wall. Cross swung the gun toward me. Police, drop the weapon. The shout came from behind me. Officers flooded the hallway, weapons drawn, everything happening too fast to process. Cross's attention fractured. He looked at Emily, then at me, then at the officers. Calculating, deciding. He started to raise the gun. Emily grabbed the desk lamp, heavy brass base, and swung it with all her strength. It connected with the side of his head with a sickening crack. He stumbled, gun hand wavering. I tackled him. We hit the floor hard. He was stronger than he looked, fought like something cornered. My shoulder slammed into the desk. His elbow caught my jaw. I tasted blood. Kicked out wildly, connected with something soft. He grunted, grip on the gun loosening. Emily kicked it away. Then officers were pulling Cross off me, forcing him down, cuffing him. Someone was asking if I was hurt. Someone else was checking Emily, radio chatter. Miranda writes, the mechanical click of handcuffs. Cross looked at Emily as they hauled him to his feet. I'll come back. I'll always come back. Emily picked up the gun with shaking hands. No, she said. You won't. She fired. The sound was sharp and wrong and so loud I thought my eardrums had burst. Cross screamed, dropped, clutching his shoulder. Blood bloomed through his shirt. An officer grabbed Emily, carefully took the weapon. It's okay. You're okay. He's down. Emily was trembling violently. Is he dead? Shoulder wound. He'll live. She nodded once. Then her legs gave out. I caught her. 6 months later, I sat in a coffee shop watching Emily walk across the quad of Roosevelt High School. She looked different, walked different. Her hair was shorter now, cut into a practical bob. She wore jeans and a Roosevelt swimming team hoodie, backpack slung over one shoulder. 2 girls flanked her, all 3 of them laughing about something on a phone. She spotted me through the window, waved, said something to her friends. They looked over, waved too. Emily ducked into the coffee shop, bringing cold air and the scent of rain with her. Sorry I'm late. Debate practice ran long. You made the team. I grinned. That's amazing. We're competing next month. She dropped into the chair across from me, flagged down a server. Can I get a hot chocolate with extra whipped cream? She could order for herself now. Small thing, huge thing. How's the book coming? I asked. Emily had decided, with her therapist's support, to write about her experience. Not about the kidnapping itself. She'd left that story to the journalists and true crime podcasters who'd descended after Cross's arrest. She was writing about the after, about the second captivity, about fear as its own kind of prison. Working title, The Second Captivity. I'm thinking about contacting him, she said carefully, for the book. An interview. What? My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. Not in person, letters. Supervised by my therapist and the prison psychologist. They think it might help. Emily. I spent 3 years letting him control my life from a distance. She met my eyes. Steady. Clear. If I'm going to be afraid, I want to be afraid of him as he actually is. Not as a shadow. Does that make sense? It makes sense, but are you sure? No. A small smile. But I'm doing it anyway. Therapy taught me that being sure isn't the same thing as being brave. Her hot chocolate arrived. She stirred it slowly, watching the whipped cream dissolve into brown swirls. The trial verdict came through yesterday, she said. 25 years. Plus psychiatric treatment, plus civil damages my parents can use for my college fund. How do you feel about that? Relieved. Angry that it's not longer. Guilty that I feel relieved. She took a sip. Normal, apparently. My therapist says all of those feelings can be true at once. We talked for another hour about her classes, her swim team, the boy who'd asked her to homecoming. Normal things. Gloriously normal things. As we stood to leave, Emily hugged me. Thank you for not giving up on me. I never could have. I know. She pulled back, eyes bright. That's why it mattered. I watched her walk back to campus, backpack bouncing, phone pressed to her ear, completely unafraid of the open space around her. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. She'd been found on a highway 3 years ago, broken and terrified. Now she was walking into the world like she owned it. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter. Emily had written it as part of her therapy, but her counselor said she could share it if she wanted. Dear Sarah, people always ask me what freedom feels like. They expect something poetic, but honestly, freedom feels like forgetting to be afraid. Last week, a car backfired near me at the mall. I didn't hit the floor. I didn't even flinch. I just kept walking. That's what freedom is. Not the absence of fear, but the absence of fear's control. You gave me that. Not on the night you stopped Cross, though thank you for that too. You gave it to me earlier. when you saw me as more than a victim, when you pushed me to want more than survival, when you believed I could be strong. I'm writing my college essays now, applying to marine biology programs, planning a future, living a life. Thank you for reminding me I had one. Love, Emily. I keep that letter on my desk at school. When the job gets hard, when funding gets cut again, when I'm drowning in paperwork, when I question whether any of this makes a difference, I read it. And I remember. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do for someone isn't keeping them safe from the world. It's teaching them they're strong enough to face it. So here's what I want you to take from this story. If you're living in fear right now, whether from a real threat or the memory of one, please reach out. Talk to someone. You deserve more than survival. You deserve to live. And if this story moved you, if Emily's journey resonated with you, hit that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have done the same thing in my position? I actually read every single one. If you want more stories about ordinary people in extraordinary situations, subscribe and turn on notifications. I've got more coming. And trust me, you won't want to miss them. Next time, I'll tell you about the day I discovered my elderly neighbor had been hiding something in her basement for 40 years. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about the quiet woman who baked me cookies. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.